Hi, everybody. This is Todd Creager. Yes, I am wearing a Wrigley Field shirt. I am not from Chicago. I did go on a tour back then and love Chicago, but I figured I look good in red. I didn't want to change. So anyway, today's topic is not about the shirt I'm wearing, but it really is about attachment styles and how it shows up in intimate relationships. A lot of people I know, a lot of my clients, even new clients, come in and they're getting attachment styles have become very common, mainstream, and so I did want to talk about that because I think it is very important to understand attachment styles and what that means and how it shows up in our intimate adult relationships. I think it's a very central part of how s- assess what is missing in the relationship, where the relationship is off, and what we need to do to help them heal and become and have great relationships, actually. So basically, we've learned that attachment styles there's four of them mainly. And the first style that I'll bring you with is a secure attachment style. Now, a secure attachment style basically is, let's think of it from a little baby. And when a little baby has a mom and dad, and let me just talk about mom just for language simplicity, but everyone's important. Mom is important, dad's important, nanny's important, grandparents. But let's say mom is a kind of mom who much more times than not tunes into the child. Helps that child when the child is stressed for whatever reason, the mom picks up the child, feeds the child, burps the child, is there for the child, and helps them downregulate. When you go from more stress to less stress. The child gets a sense of you're with me. Now, of course, we're talking about like a newborn, an infant, but even when they're one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, all the way up, my kids age 29 and 32, even then, the sense is when I'm stressed, are you there? Are you tuned into me? And if the child gets the sense that the parent, more times than not, doesn't have to be perfect, is there for that child. And also upregulating, I should say. Downregulating is from more stress to less. Upregulating is from less alive to more alive. So, for example, again, baby, maybe the baby's there and you come up to them and you smile and you go, "Oh, I love you. I'm going to sing you a song. I'm going to read you a book. I'm going to have you use this toy and play with it and see the colors or whatever." And the child gets more alive. You smile, they smile back, and they get more. There's an alivening, there's an upregulation when you take your 7-year-old on a play date, when you take them and play with them and do something fun, that's all upregulation, right? So when a child feels like you're tuning into their needs for downregulation and upregulation, they have what we call a secure attachment. And again, it don't have to be perfect, but if it happens more times than not, typically there's a secure relationship with the child and the mother. If you come from a family where the parenting was maybe inconsistent. Let's say mom was an alcoholic, and when she was sober, she was there. But when she was alcoholic, when she was drinking, she was not there much at all, and you're left on your own. That child learns that when you separate from me, it might be a long time before you come back to me. Whereas in a secure relationship, is you separate from me as parents do, they will sometimes be busy. They can't come to you right away, but they do. So you learn that misattunement when they're not tuning in at that moment is going to be followed by a quick reattunement. And this more inconsistent parenting, the separation may lead to a long time before you attune to me again, reattunement. So this misattunement, not tuning into my needs, not down regulating me when I need it or up regulating me because you're occupied or you're drinking or whatever. Then what happens is this creates a lot of anxiety in that child, and the child can develop what's called an anxious attachment style. And the anxious attachment style, like I said, it's like when I feel any separation from you at all, I get very anxious because I don't know when you're coming back. Another kind of attachment style that you see a lot is when the child learns young that you're not really tuning into my emotional pain. I'm on my own when it comes to that. I have to handle it. It's a child who grew up had parents that go basically buck up, don't cry. I'm being a little simplistic here, but it's that kind of message where, however the message was, you learned not to share with people what's going on because it's not rewarding. It's just not rewarding, and you don't get that. So you learn to be on your own. And so that's called an avoidance attachment style. An avoidant attachment style is where you become very self-regulating. You have to regulate yourself, and you've learned that others aren't going to regulate you at all. Whereas the anxious attachment style, they have a hard time regulating themselves. They keep waiting and looking for the other person to come back and regulate me, come back and regulate me, and they don't handle separation of any kind very well. The fourth kind is when you come from a more severe, abusive, and neglectful situation, and sometimes those a disordered style attachment. There's no order to it. Sometimes they cling, sometimes they push away because of the trauma the extreme trauma that they may have been placed under. And that definitely is out there as well. So I'm going to put that last one aside, though. I'm really going to talk about those three: the secure, the avoidant, and the anxious attachment styles. That person now grows up and starts a relationship with someone, starts an intimate relationship with someone. If you have a secure relationship as a child, it's likely that you are at least in a position to regulate yourself because you've learned to do that. Because when you're in a secure relationship, you've learned to self-regulate, but you're not so extreme in it. You also can allow your partner to be there for you. You can be independent, but you can also have healthy dependence. And when you have that, you have when both people have that, we have what's called an earned secure attachment. And no matter what approach people use, whatever words they use, that's pretty much the end goal, to help couples have an earned secure attachment where each person is able to regulate each other's emotions, regulate each other's central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and that's a good thing. So if you have the anxious attachment style, you might react strongly to any symbol of being misattuned. So if your partner forgets something from the grocery store, maybe we remember 5 of them, but forgot the 6th. I'm being a little bit maybe dramatic, but it can happen. You might go to, see, you're not there for me. See, you forgot. Or a common one that I've seen is the one, let's say, just for the purpose of this example, a stay-at-home mom who had an anxious attachment with her mom and dad or whatever, and then the husband says, I'll be home at 6, and he gets delayed in the meeting, and now it's 6:05, 6:10, and the woman in this example is blowing up his phone, like, where are you? And it's not like that, but obviously, if you have a hot dinner on the stove and you're annoyed that it's going to be cold, I get that. But what I'm talking about is there's a separation anxiety that could happen where I need you to be here. I need you to tell me you're here. I need you, and not able to regulate their own emotions. So there might be a clinginess there. There might be an anxiousness to even slight disappointments or slight separations. The person with the avoidant attachment style tends to solve problems on their own, even as an adult, like they did as a child, and they're not very vulnerable, and they don't let the other person sue them at all. The other partner might start to feel like insignificant. You really don't need me. The other partner might go, I don't know what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, what's going on with you. So you have these kinds of issues. Now you could have a person who has a secure attachment growing in, getting into the relationship, and may get to a relationship where that person has an avoidant attachment style or an anxious attachment style, and it could negatively influence the person with a secure attachment style. So the attachment style can change from a more secure to a less secure, insecure attachment, like anxious or avoidant. It could go the other way too. The person who was avoidant might be with someone who's secure and learn, wow, I'm learning to be more vulnerable and to share myself with you. And so it could be positive in that way, especially with therapy. With good therapy, it can really help A person who had an avoidant attachment style could learn to have less of an avoidant style and more of a balanced, secure attachment style. A person with the anxious attachment style could learn how to self-soothe and recognize and learn that you are not my mother, you are not my father, you are someone who is not perfect though, and that when I'm slightly disappointed or when you just get caught up in a meeting and you're 20 minutes or 30 minutes late, it doesn't mean that you will never show up again. It doesn't mean you're not coming back to me. So my body learns to react like it's the end of the world. So that's a little bit about how that works. Obviously, again, the goal always is to develop an earned secure attachment where both people are able to regulate themselves, but not only depend on the other person to make them feel safe. But at the same time, to allow the other person to have a positive impact on them through the more vulnerable communication, letting them listen, letting them be strong for you. We want to be strong, but we also want does the other person be strong for us? So there's a balance there. And that's really what happens when you develop that earned secure attachment. So that's a little bit what I wanted to share with you. It's really helpful. I'll be talking about attachment in other areas today. I want to talk about how it generally shows up in couples and that there's hope that people can change and they could have an insecure attachment, and even the brain can change because these attachment styles, which are called in the brain internal working models, it's where you've learned to adapt as an avoidant to solve problems on your own, or you've learned to try to cling, or you've learned it's all going to be okay. I can be secure. I can handle a little separation. My parents coming back. So that internal working model is already there. So it's in the brain. And the good news is that in a relationship that's developing that earned secure attachment, that your brain can change. There's neuroplasticity. That's what it's called, when neurons could reconnect with other neurons in healthier, more complex ways. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks for listening. This is Todd Creager in his Wrigley Field shirt saying, thank you again. It's Todd Creager, making the world safe. I love you.